Can I shut off my my screen?
Can you answer the question?
I'm asking you.
And I'm asking you, what are you going to do now?
Go to a movie.
Oh, okay. Can you review it on Sunday?
No, it's too pornographic. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, that kind of movie. All right, all right. We'll bid you adieu.
Alrighty.
Thanks, Perry.
Yeah,
Good night.
we'll talk about. See, that's my sleeping pill.
Got
Good
you.
night. All right.
I'll talk to you
Bye.
tomorrow. Bye.
See you tomorrow.
No, we don't need to. We don't need to hear that. I try to make it work with him on After Hours. He's just not After Hours material. Got to give him credit though. He hung in there for 7 hours. First show back. You know. But I'm sorry, anybody. Like I got a lot of people sending me offers. I couldn't get to all of them tonight. So I apologize for that. It was just a ton on the table. I think people were really excited for Perry to be back. Uh, Happy Time Harry says, I really enjoy listening to Perry and Tom talk about whatever they want to talk about on After Hours. Good stuff both times. Yeah, it's hard sometimes to get stuff out of him conversationally, but he gets there. Uh, he gets there eventually. But I was just talking to Hero privately, in chat about the Bowie concert, and it was definitely really cool. And I know a lot of people never got a chance to see Bowie live, but man, seek out some. There's a lot of good bootlegs out there, especially on YouTube. It just gives you a little bit of a glimpse of what kind of performer he was. Even stuff from the '90s, which I'm not huge on, the industrial era. He put on an amazing show. I also saw him that same tour. I also saw him in Queens at Queens College, and that was great too. But it wasn't. And I saw him at the Beacon Theater the same week, and they were all great, but nothing beats. There was one show. I don't know, Hero. Maybe you can look it up. There was a show he did. It's still in 2002. It was later. It might have been like November or December that year. He played a show in London at the Odeon, I think it was, and he did this insanely long show. I mean, he played well over 3 hours, and he did the set list I gave you. He did that like times two. And it's a very good bootleg. Unfortunately, there's no professional recording of it out there, but man, if you could ever find that bootleg, I don't know the date of it, but that the set list he did there was insanity, absolute insanity. I wasn't there, but I remember like I have a pretty good collection of Bowie bootlegs, and that was like what. And it was so great about it is he went so many years like touring and stuff, and he'd sprinkle in one or two songs, but he never really cut into the crowd pleasers as much as he did that specific tour. So it was great. And he only toured after that. He toured like the next year, the next 2 years when Reality came out. And I saw him on that tour as well, but it wasn't anything close to 2002 because he was supporting that album pretty heavily, which I liked, but it wasn't the same thing. It wasn't the same thing. What did you guys get up to over the past 2 weeks? I heard mixed things from people. Some people liked the time off. Other people hated it. Other people said they hated the having time away from PCL. I got a lot of nice messages over the break. People saying that they really relied on the stream, and sorry, Tom. I wanted Perry to salute, not be a Nazi. I know that took me for a loop. the His version of saluting. Bowie's in the new season of Twin Peaks. Glad he had a helmet. Oh, the one that came out a few years ago. I still haven't gotten through that. I don't know what the homage was. I'm sure it was good. Yeah, he's in the movie. He's in the Twin Peaks movie briefly. He does that cameo. Who would win in a fight, David Bowie or Morrissey? Bowie all day long. And I saw Morrissey open for David Bowie, actually, which is rare, in London in '95. Morrissey opened for Bowie, and it was a very strange dynamic. But for me, entertaining. That's that's my top two favorite people. That Zombie Chapel, pretty new, but I missed it. I think a lot of the new people missed it the most because like there was one guy that wrote me that said, "Oh my God, I just got into Perry and PCL, and now you guys are taking a break." And he was like, he was all upset. Marcy would throw flowers at you. No, I don't. You know, it was that time. I don't think Morrissey was mad that I opened for Bowie. It was the '95 period where Bowie did in America. He did 9 Inch Nails in Bowie, which I saw also, which was great. And then in Europe, he changed it up, and it was supposed to be Morrissey Bowie throughout Europe, and Morrissey only lasted like, I think he lasted 3 weeks, and then couldn't take like I don't think he could handle being the opener and not having like his sycophant audience at his beck and call, and he exited. I think, which created a bit of a rift between the two of them. And I forget who he got to replace him. I think it might have been shit. I forget now. I want to say it was Garbage. I don't think that's right though. He got somebody else to fill in. I'm glad I'm a Patreon so I can watch older streams. That's cool. Yeah, I just I had a hard time myself, especially last. No, it wasn't last week. It was the first Sunday after the Wario stream. I really had a hard time with not had a hard time. I just didn't know what to do with myself. It was just very strange. It was the first Sunday that I didn't have the stream to worry about, and I really didn't know. I didn't know how to handle it in a way. I almost wanted to call Perry and like, hey, let's just go on. I know we said we'd taken a break, but of course I didn't do that. But it was strange. And then that Wednesday was all. As it went on, it got strange, and then I started getting worried about getting rusty about it. And then other things came up over the course of the last 2 weeks. So I don't know. I might have COVID. Oddly enough, I hope not. But Teddy, who is my girlfriend's son, who's 3, he just turned 4. He tested positive for COVID this week. He's thankfully not showing any symptoms of it, but it turned into this whole thing, and because his dad's dad possibly passed it to him, and now my girlfriend has it, I think, and I might have it, but I don't know. So, although like when you hear that you could, and it's things that I'm just, even though it was a very minor procedure, I'm just getting over something. So, it's like bad timing for me. But when you hear that it's a possibility, you start getting like placebo effects, where all of a sudden like, oh wait, I can't breathe, like my breathing's off, or oh no, I can't taste food, but all that's invented nonsense. So yeah, apparently a 4-year-old can get it, and it sucks. It was his birthday on Monday, and now all of a sudden he has it. So I don't know. I didn't get tested or anything, but I feel okay. But you get those things in your head when you feel like it's a possibility. So I even during the stream, I was like, there was at one point where I just felt kind of like lightheaded and stuff. I was just like, oh no, here it comes. So, but I don't know. I feel okay. I don't think I have it. But anyway, it's a bummer. It wasn't the it wasn't the break that I was hoping for. Let's put it that way. You're shocked that Perry didn't miss you. I think he did. I think he did miss it. I think he missed the attention. I really do think and he took coming back very seriously. So I think he missed it in somewhere. Astral Orphan had it in February. Thankfully, it was very mild. I'm vaccinated. Yeah, I'm vaccinated too. But yeah, I know the tests some were bullshit. But then like another kid in his class, and he's in pre-K, so another kid in his pre-K had it also. So anyway, Bad Branson. Tom, wanted to let you know that my dad and I watched the stream tonight. Love the work and dedication to the craft. Thank you. And it's awesome that you and your dad can watch the stream. There's a couple of father-son fans that watch the stream together. I think that's crazy. I mean, crazy good, crazy in the best possible way. But yeah, it's been a stressful couple of weeks. Stay away from my parents. Yes, absolutely, Cha Cha. I'm definitely staying away from my parents. I did call them. I was supposed to. I was actually supposed to go over there this week, and I didn't. I didn't, of course. But I don't feel like I have it. But then again, you never know. I mean, I think I'm just run. I'm a little run down because, of course, Teddy couldn't go to school. They actually closed his school because of him, which is embarrassing. But I've basically been on kid duty because my girlfriend's laid out. So I was up at 6 a.m. today, basically playing butler to a 4-year-old for the past few days. So I'm a little fried. Rick says showed his dad some of the calls, some of your calls with Perry, and he thought they were hilarious. That's great. That's awesome. I know Garrett. I don't know if Garrett's still here, but I know Garrett had a thing with his dad where he was showing him a clip of Garrett on the surprise vacation stream, like rubbing his hands on Perry's chest, and I don't think his dad quite got the nuance of it. And I would never. My dad would never watch this, or he would, and he would. I mean, he wouldn't get it. So. But what a deep question, Kyle. Robert asks, if you happen to wake up in your 20-year-old self tomorrow morning, back in time, would you change anything in your life? My honest answer is no. I wouldn't. I mean, because it's definitely rough patches between me at 20 and me now, but I like where I am right now. I like the people I'm around, and I like the friends I have, and I think tampering with timelines would possibly jeopardize the people in my life right now. So honestly, I wouldn't change much. I might give myself, I might be like, oh shit, you shouldn't do that, or you shouldn't do this, or whatever. But yeah, I don't think I would make any wholesale changes. Maybe some small ones. I don't know what anybody else's answer to that is. That's pretty deep. Does a part of me miss pre-Giuliani New York? Well, I don't know. You're getting a pretty good taste of pre-Giuliani New York right now. New York City is in some pretty serious disrepair. Especially since I was in the city quite a bit last week, and yeah, it's definitely not what it was. But I miss dirty. There's part of me like there's pictures I see of like porno theater Times Square and things like that. Not that should be around, but you do get a little like, wow, that's a whole era that's gone. I miss the movie theaters in New York City. Like there was a lot of, even in the 90s there was a pretty good decent amount of like really nice movie theaters in New York City, like single screen theaters. They're all gone now, every single one of them. So the problem, I like Giuliani as mayor. I'm gonna put my cards on the table. I think he did a great job for New York, but I think he could have come in with a broom, and instead he came in with a bulldozer. Like, there's things he could have cleaned up. Giuliani got a little too OCD with his cleanup job. Let me put it that way. Like, okay, I agree. Times Times Square needed a makeover, but now it's ridiculous. They turned it into like a lane, like Vegas without the gambling, you know, Vegas without the fun. It's just completely sanitized. They turned it in. They let Disney take over. There's so many things that went a little too far with the cleanup. It's like, okay, uh, now it looks like a film set. This is a little too much, and then a lot of like small businesses went away. There was definitely a domino effect in New York City to how heavy-handed Giuliani was, and you're seeing the effects of De Blasio now, but I think a lot of that was already the deck of cards was already rolling, reverberating throughout. I think 9/11 had something to do with it. There's a lot, and a lot of it has to do with the landlords who own a significant portion of real estate where they squeeze small businesses out, and there's so many pubs and restaurants I used to love in New York City that are long, long gone because they can't afford the rent. I mean, what do you want to trade off too? It's like even the McDonald's in Times Square is closing, or it has closed. I mean, I'm never in Times Square, but there was that weird McDonald's in Times Square that kind of looked very Vegas-y. That's even gone. It's all like, yeah, I don't know. It's all tourist stores and Disney store. I don't know. It doesn't scream New York to me. At least with the porno theaters, it had some kind of identity, even if it was sleazy. Now it has no identity, and there's no neighborhoods in New York anymore. New York used to be made up of neighborhoods where you'd have, the West Village was very different from the East Village. Murray Hill, was different from Chelsea, and the Upper East Side was different from the Upper West Side, and there's no uniqueness anymore. It's all the same. It's all gentrified, and it's not. A lot of cities are like that, but there's no distinctiveness anymore. A downtown Manhattan, which is where I was, still that's the only little pocket of New York that you can get a taste of old New York, like old buildings and stuff. And I always recommend people coming into New York spend a lot of time downtown Manhattan, especially near Stone Street, near the Staten Island Ferry. There's a lot of good bars around there. Now, and not just all about bars, but you get a taste of old New York there. That eventually the tidal wave will hit down there as well, but it hasn't hit as hard as it has in other areas. Yeah, seriously, CBGB's is now a John Varvatos clothing store. That tells you everything just about. It says, watching old Stern clips and was depressed when you realize the old stuff we all loved is either dead or dying. Yeah, I came to that realization a long time ago. Basically, like everything sucks now. Like everything you once loved has been changed or bastardized or watered down or just completely gone. But that's why I feel bad for younger generations that don't have that. I don't know. Not to sound like an old man, but yeah. So that's the long answer to the question with the Giuliani thing is, I don't know. I think he could have. I think he could have went about halfway, and not gone all the way because New York City is almost unrecognizable. But it's a weird hybrid now because New York City is definitely gentrified, but you're getting like crazy. Like the one thing I noticed is crazy homeless people are back in full force. Like Giuliani had those people like in camps, like internment camps. Like you didn't see them. Now, like if there's any bit of traffic, you get the guys with the squeegees. You get crazy people muttering to themselves, like walking down the street. You didn't see any of that shit when Giuliani, and even when Bloomberg was mayor. Now they're all over the place. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely curmudgeon-y in a way when I realize the music I listen to, pretty much every artist that I like is either far past their prime or dead or retired, and yeah, like even like I was thinking, I got these because I'm redoing this room that I'm in, and like the ceiling's exposed, and I was like, you know what? I always wanted to get some Atmos speakers, so I got these like Atmos speakers to install in the ceiling eventually because I can't really afford to do it right now, but I have the speakers, And I got them, and I had this realization the other day. I was like, what the hell am I getting Atmos speakers for? There's no movie I watch that's mixed in Atmos. Most of the stuff I watch is in mono, or like, if I'm lucky, 5.1 or 7.1, maybe at best. I was like, all the modern stuff's mixed in Atmos. I was like, I don't watch any modern movies. I'm an old man. I watch like old stuff. When I came home from the hospital, I was just literally I went on a Columbo marathon. I was like, I don't want to watch any. Like I could have caught. There was some movies I could have caught up on. Like I almost watched that movie Nobody with Bob Odenkirk because people told me that was good. I couldn't. I just could not get myself around clicking on it. And I was like, I'm gonna watch YouTube and Columbo, maybe Matlock if I see that, or like, you know, Kojak or something. Bad says, "Oh, you're 32. I'm at the point where I missed the 2000. That's insane. That is insane." Have I seen that video from Philadelphia recently, Mumbles? No. What is that? It looks like a zombie. Philly's its own problem. Philly's a disaster too, for different reasons. If I could choose a certain era of New York to live in, what would I choose? 70s, 80s, 90s, or today's New York? Okay, well, it's definitely not today's New York. Um, I'd go with the 70s. And I don't know if I'd want to live in 70s New York, but I'd want to visit there. Like, I'd like to pick a day. I always had this conversation with a friend of mine. Like, I would love to spend a day in New York City, like a full 24 hours in New York City in like the summer of 1977. And I would like to, um, I walk around, obviously, have some experiences, go record shopping. I'd like to see Star Wars at the Astor Plaza, which was this the big single screen theater. It was in Times Square, actually. Um, like the summer it came out, and then like maybe in the afternoon, walk around some more, check out some things, go to Central Park, go to some walk by some places, and then I'd like to end the night by going to CBGB's and seeing like Blondie and the Ramones at CBGB's, something like that. That would be my day in New York City. So the answer to the question is 70s, but I don't know if I'd want to live in the 70s, but I definitely want the rights to visit there as often as possible. I don't know, and other people could give other eras. I also would like to see New York in the '60s or whatever. Um, it's funny. I remember like in the early '90s, like walking around like New York City, like with friends, and basically be a kid, and at the time I was already intrigued by like 1950s New York, like seeing pictures and stuff. And I remember having the idea like, oh, maybe I should take pictures because it won't be the same. But at the time I was like, no, this is pretty much how it's going to be for the rest of eternity. It's always going to be like this. There's no need to take pictures. We now live in the modern era. Nothing's going to change that much. But goddamn, if you look at video now of like New York in the '90s, even it's completely different. Like early '90s, not mid '90s. There's this good video on YouTube. It's like one of the earliest HD videos. I think it's from 1993. Somebody went around New York with a high definition camera, which was probably insane to have in that time period in 1993. But there's high definition film of not film, but high definition video of New York. Um, Not film that was transferred to HD, actual native HD. That's pretty surreal to look at because even that seems like another world now. And there is some good film that was transferred to HD from like even the 20s and 30s. But it's not that long. It's very short little clips because who the hell had big reels of film to as a private citizen to take video of. But there's some good stuff from like the South Street Seaport in like the early 1900s or like 1920s, I think, that I saw recently. It was pretty good. You wish you could have gone to New York City before 9/11. Yeah, 9/11 changed a lot of stuff. Pre 9/11 New York City. Yeah. I used to live in New York City. I used to love it. I used to think that I would only want to live in New York City. Oh, Steven, I think you're asking a question for Perry. I'm gonna pass on that one. We don't talk like that on After Hours, and I'm gonna have to ask you to leave if you continue that kind of crudity. We're gentlemen here at After Hours. We don't say those kind of things. We need to remake Back to the Future where Perry goes back to 1992. Yeah, it's crazy. Is 1992 is just about 30 years ago now. And I remember when Back to the Future came out, like 1985. 30 years ago was 1955, and that seemed like a completely different era. Like it's crazy to think like that much distance has gone on. I wish they would transfer more video, like old video, like old, like not video, old film. Like there's a lot of film that was transferred in like the 80s, and it has that 80s like telesync quality where it's just like you could tell it was just like film transferred to video. And I wish they would go back and because it would just probably cost a fortune, but there's a lot of good stuff on film from the 50s, 60s, 70s. I'm not talking about like, TV shows or movies or anything. I'm talking about like, private things that people have filmed, like even LA or New York, or just like a day in the life type stuff. And it's just fascinating to see, even like a car driving by on a random street. Steven, I forgive you, but you're not getting you're not going to earn your blue After Hours jacket with that kind of talk. So you're definitely on probation. Mom was you went to play Back to the Future 2 and 3 on NES. Yeah, I don't remember 2 and 3. I just remember Back to the Future game basically being like an annoying version of Paperboy. And I hate Paperboy. I never liked Paperboy. I never liked it in the arcade. I never got the appeal for Paperboy. But is Back to the Future 2 and 3 the same thing where you're like on a bike? Like I don't, or skateboard rather. Yeah, it's like Paperboy on a skateboard. And you know how I feel about skateboarding. Sluggoose Prime. Stern never made me laugh on his own right. The only time I laughed at his show was when Artie was second mic. Yeah, I mean, obviously, comedy's subjective, but Stern's not for everybody. But for my money, Stern was the best in the '90s, pre-Artie. That was his best era, the entire decade of the '90s, and then anything after that was a very slow decline up until about 2014 or so, and then it was a pretty fast decline. Yeah, the old TV time shifts that people saved from recorded VHS tapes. Yeah, I've watched a ton of those too. Uh, Ruiz, Tomkin. I talk about what the f happened to the morons who brought the fish. I don't know. I don't know. It's funny. I saw them on the camera, and it looked suspicious to me because obviously it was two dudes. I don't think DoorDash works in pairs like that, and they were kind of laughing. Look, here's what I think about those two guys. I think they're just fans that were having fun and didn't really think it through. I don't think they were maliciously trying to hurt anything or like trying to get Perry in trouble or anything like that. I just think they didn't think it through and thought it would be funny. Um, you know, I just, I just think they were just dopes to, and if they're watching, by the way, I don't hate you or anything like that. I'm not, it had a happy ending. And by the way, shout out to Rick, who was a fucking gem for offering, Rick doesn't necessarily live around the corner from Perry. So it was a thing. And plus the last time Perry had an interaction with Rick, he attacked him. But Rick went over there, got the two fish, and hopefully those two fish have a nice happy life. I just think it was annoying, and especially on the stream back, we had so many things to get to that it was just an unnecessary distraction. That and I didn't necessarily, and even like after that, after the fish thing, like I didn't trust anything that they sent. Like I don't. That's why I didn't mind him throwing anything away, and I even like didn't like the fact that he took a bite of that one thing, because who the hell knows what they were up to. But anyway, I just think it was just two guys having a little too much. Sometimes, especially with this thing, really, I think there's sometimes you can get caught up in it a little too much, and you don't think logically. You can have a little too much fun. I don't know, not too much fun, but you can like not think things through when you're having a good time, because we're pretty free and loose. At least that's the appearance of it. Even though we do keep there is a little bit of a safe space in place, not to go too far with things. But yeah, and then Perry bragging how he's a fish murderer. Yeah, and the crunchy burrito did sound like, yeah, who knows? They could have put anything in that. I don't know. It didn't, Luckily, he didn't get too much into it. So anyway, so I don't know who they were. I don't know anything about them. I don't think they're going to be posting bragging about it after the reception it got from both me, Perry, and in the chat overall. You agree that the '90s was the golden age of Stern, Artie years were the silver age, and the death of Eric is the end. Yeah, I said that many times. Eric the actor passing away in 2014 was the end of the Stern Show, because Eric was the only person who, when he called into the show, he brought, even as Howard, as annoying as he was at the time, and he was like AGT Howard and like Hollywood, there was something about Eric's calls that brought out, still was able to bring out some kind of magic in Howard, like old school magic, and Eric was the only person that was able to do that. So it kept it fun, and then once Eric passed away, there was just no. And it took me a while to realize this. I didn't come to this realization right away, but there was nothing left in the Stern Show after that. I mean, and I know people still listen. People still listen to it out of habit, but I don't know. I don't know how. But yeah, I mean, I only get reports. I only see like stuff that he said. I don't hear clips or anything like that. It's just got to be. Yeah. I mean, he's so far removed from the guy that I would even listen to even 7 years ago, that I couldn't do it now. Any chance Mole makes an appearance on stream? I would hope so. I would love that. Stern seems too scummy for me based on how much he supposedly paid people. I don't know anything about that, but nothing would surprise me about Stern in the past 10 years or so. I mean, nobody sold out harder. and you can't even call it sold out. Yeah, I know. I have WD. I've actually put WD-40 on this chair. It doesn't work. Well, that's one of the things I wanted to do over the break, was get a new chair. I was going to go to the Lazy Boy store, but I never made it. One of these days. There's a lot of little things I wanted to do, and then I would have to like literally take off a month from the stream to get everything I wanted done. But just didn't break that way. But I wasn't joking when I said earlier that Perry wasn't talking to me. Like he was not happy with me, and I'll get those voicemails out on Patreon soon. But he was like, yeah, like last Friday he was like, I'm fired and everything was over, and he didn't check in with me at all. He was I was not on his favorite persons list whatsoever. I forgot about that. Here was yeah, there was a period on Stern where he was getting family members to make out. I was never into that stuff. Like even like his stuff with like lesbians and like having like hot chicks in taking, like I never cared about that. I cared about him ranting and the news, or when like Gilbert Gottfried would sit in and they would just like roast whatever was coming up on a thing. Speaking of Howard, Elliot Offen and Perry crossover soon. It's funny you should say that. I actually had an idea. I haven't implemented it because it takes some effort. But I would love to do a Elliot Offen soundboard and figure out a way for Perry to call on Subscriber Sunday, but call Elliot Offen. But gangster Elliot, when he was on the phone. And there's a lot of good clips on YouTube of like him calling in when there was that period where they would do it. It was really the last era of Elliot Offen on the Stern Show, when they would do the football picks every week. I think he had some sponsor, like some betting sponsor, and all the guys would do like football picks, and Elliot would call in as like just like I just picture Perry be like, "This is Perry Caravello live. Who am I talking to?" Like and then have Elliot go to like, "Shut up, hemophilia victim. Shut your fucking mouth, all right? I'm the fucking gangster. This is the real fucking gangster." Look up Elliot Offen for those who don't know what the hell we're talking about. But like, who the fuck is this? Shut your fucking mouth, monkey boy. And like, because Elliot is a great arguer. Like, he really knows how to talk over people and like just go on and on and on. And I just but it's a lot of work for me, not only like developing it, but also executing it. But that's in the tank. I definitely want to do that. I definitely want to have Perry interact with Elliot in some way. And maybe we get the real Elliot at this point. I don't know what he's doing. I don't even know how to get in touch with him. But maybe the real Elliot. Maybe you can call the real Elliot. But yeah, I find Elliot fascinating, absolutely fascinating. But yeah, Perry could also just hang up on it really quick, you know. And then you go through all that effort of like and that happens sometimes, that you put a lot of effort into something, and then Perry has no interest, and then it's like shit. I'm sure some mailbag people feel that, where like you spend the time to like buy something, or pick something out, or write a letter, whatever it is, and it depends on so many variables, like what version of Perry are you getting, what's his mood, what happened before to put him in the mood he's in. And I feel for that sometimes, and sometimes I'll try to like sell something a little harder, but sometimes he just doesn't give anything, and it's wasted. So I've definitely been in that position where you put a lot of work into something and there's very little payoff for it because he doesn't pay attention or whatever, and that's just that's the way it goes. But anyway, I would like to do I always wanted to do an Eric the Actor crossover and Perry, and it's funny that some tip comments have come in like recent months from Eric the Actor, and Perry has no idea who it is, of course. But it would be that would probably be a little too derivative to do like a Eric the Actor soundboard, like, and he would call that, and I think some people would enjoy it, but to me that it's not as satisfying as a actual Elliot Offen. like actually get the real, not the real. I mean, the real guy would probably be very unstable. Oh, was he on Shuli's podcast? I haven't listened to Shuli's podcast. Not just I don't know. But yeah, what was he like on Shuli's podcast? I've seen him on YouTube in various clips and things, but not any kind of long form. Hannah, I'd like to know if he gave the stuffed penis to a little girl because he said he was going to. I don't, I never followed up on that. I don't know. That's a good question. We can revisit that on Sunday. I don't know. Gosh, that would be so creepy. I'm dying to know who dropped all the pool noodles on the patio. I think you and I both know who that was. I'm pretty sure that was the henchman. Yeah, if you haven't seen the picture of that, that's in the Discord. Yeah, I can't believe he hated that painting also, and of course I loved it, but it also took him so long to show it. Like he had that great reaction, like, "Oh my god, I can't show this." And by the way, it's art, so you could show, his penis, even though it was very small in the painting. It's art. So, yeah, there's no pornography there. There's no that doesn't fall into any category of nudity or anything like that. And I said to Hero, I think it would have been weird if it was covered up. But yeah, no, that was breathtaking, and I hope he keeps it for a long time. Yeah, he was painting it in a very flattering way. He had a big muscular body and everything. I mean, I don't think he knew the as I don't think you have to be religious or into art. You should know what the creation painting is. You should. I mean, I don't even think he knew what it was referenced after. But yeah, he actually comes off really well in it. Next auction won't be till 2024 because Perry will have those paintings for a while. Yeah, you never know. It's hard to get those off the ground. And I love that he always points to the paintings as taking up so much space. They take up this little minuscule portion of his living space, in the corner that he doesn't even use because the bottom level is taken up with all of his detailing equipment. So you couldn't get over there anyway, even if you wanted to. But he blames the paintings and the pictures as the reason why he can't have guests over or Rick sit on the couch. As a teenager, who was Tom's celebrity crush? It could also be a porn star. Definitely wasn't a porn star. I never had a porn star crush that I can remember. No. That's a good question. Uh, you know who I really like? I always liked Leia Thompson, not in Back to the Future, but in Some Kind of Wonderful. Specifically in that movie, I thought she was gorgeous, and that was up there. And also, I think everybody my age would say Jennifer Connelly. Trying to think if there was anybody else. There was, not to sound like Perry. There was a porn star I did like. I don't know whatever became of her because I'm not really a porn guy, but there was this porno that me and like some from friends watched because that's what you did. I forget. It was it was a every porno was like a spoof on some popular movie. So you'd have like Forrest Hump or like whatever. I don't know. I guess they still do that, but it used to be a bigger thing. And there was a porno called The Anus Family, which was a spoof on the Addams Family, but the Addams Family movie specifically. And there was and I always had a thing for Morticia in the Addams Family, the TV show, the Addams Family, not Angelica Houston in the movie, but the woman who played Morticia, I think her name was Madison. I think she was a one-name porn star, Madison. I don't know whatever happened to her, but her, not in general, but her specifically as Morticia in this stupid porno called The Anus Family, smoking hot. Like, so that's the closest I think I probably ever came to having a porn star crush back then. But that's it. Just her in that specific movie. Yeah, Edward Penis Hands was another one. They were basically comedies. Like I don't even know how a guy can or a woman could watch those and be aroused in any way because they just went for laughs. Yeah, career opportunities. Jennifer Connelly. That's the one. Lock that in. That's my definitive answer for crush, high school, teenage crush, for sure, without question. But there must have been other. There must have been other. I don't know. I was never into the standard ones, like whoever anybody else was into, like the real popular ones. I was never into, it's true. It was always true with comedy too, or like things like I didn't want to share laughs with other people. Like that's why I always hated Friends and like whatever was like super popular, and I was never into like your Pam, like the cheesy ones, like the Pam Anderson. She never did anything for me whatsoever. And on and on and on. Whoever was the big poster girl of whatever era, I was never into those. Is there an American Dad porn parody? Do they still do porn parodies? Is that still a thing in porn? Like, is that still like a go-to? And by the way, how does porn make any money nowadays? I guess Perry's the guy I would have to ask for that because he knows more. D's just woke up. Did the melon burst? No, it did not. But to be continued on Sunday, and I'll monitor it tomorrow. Madeline Stowe's a good call, but very specific era for her. You know what I like her in? I like her in that was Unlawful Entry with Kurt Russell and Ray Liotta, which is a very strange movie because it's like born out of the Rodney King riots, and also it's pretty soon after Goodfellas, so they cast Ray Liotta as like a crazy bad. I think that movie kind of killed Ray Liotta's career actually, because he played a it just cemented him as like that psycho role. Kurt Russell's good; he's good in everything, but Ray Liotta is a little too good in it as a psychopath. But Madeline Stowe plays Kurt Russell's wife, who's being harassed by, stalked, I should say, by Ray Liotta, who plays a cop, and she's really gorgeous in that movie. Yeah, I know Unlawful Entry does sound like a porn title, and if you were to make a spoof of it, you really wouldn't have to change the title. Here's a Savannah was the porn star that Hero liked in the '80s, and she killed. Yeah, I remember. I remember. Did she have blonde hair? I can't remember. Like I was never. I barely remember her, kind of. Perry's really into fake blow up doll look, and Pam Anderson was only hot on. Yeah, I forgot that she was on Home Improvement. I didn't care about her then. Don't care about her now. I didn't care about her in any era. Even when that stupid porno came out with her and Tommy Lee, I couldn't. I've never seen it. Never even was remotely curious about it. Just don't care about her in any way, shape, or form. Garrett says that porn is 60% step, whatever. Like, by the way, Garrett, were you genuinely amused by Perry firing you and like being so anti Garrett on the stream, or did you find it funny or amusing, or were you were you like perturbed at all? I was wondering that as it was going on. I was like, oh, I hope Garrett doesn't feel too bad about this. Yeah, Stowe had. You know who Madeline Stowe was married to, maybe still is. She's married. She's married to Brian Benben, the guy from Dream On, the HBO show, that half hour like HBO comedy. Really, before HBO really became a name for doing original programming, way before Sopranos. She's married to that guy who was the star of Dream On, which I always thought was strange. Like, how did he get her? Ravio 666. I think my interest in celebrities waned when Kristen Dunst nudes leaked. Ugh, I've never been into Kristen Dunst. Don't get the impression. Oh, okay, good. Garrett thought it was funny. That's good. I thought it was funny because it's funny. I knew when that intro played where he talks about the tattoo, like you guys couldn't hear him. It wasn't on mic yet, but I could hear him. He was like, I mean, if you missed the intro, like Perry talks about his. Well, I'll play it real quick. I think it just starts into him talking about the tattoo, right? So this comes on when we're about to start.
Hi, this is Perry Caravello from Perry Caravello Live. I will be going to Las Vegas, and this tattoo will be getting removed.
So yeah, he saw that, and he's like, "What? No, fuck that!" And he knows Garrett does like the video stuff and intros. He's like, "Garrett's fired. He's fired." All right, hold on. Okay, we're getting ready to go. And then he goes on and starts announcing that Garrett was fired, and he was done with Garrett. And then he also saw some like old clip that Garrett had posted, him jumping on the couch. So Dream On was the worst. He got her. I thought Dream On. Now I haven't seen it since it was originally on, but I remember seeing it as a kid and thinking that it was. I thought it was ahead of its time. I really did. You know, it's a half hour comedy where you saw boobs. I mean, I not too many comedies like that. I thought it was okay. But I don't know how it holds up. I haven't seen it in a very long time. Is it even on HBO Max? Could you even see it? There was very few shows like. I thought not necessarily the news was another HBO show that was kind of ahead of its time. I thought it was pretty funny. But again, I was a kid when I saw it. I don't know how it holds up now. Oh, was he in the bathroom when Garrett was jumping on the couch? I didn't realize where he was. I forgot. TomB week is kind of a big blur to me. Yeah, that's true. It's one of those things because, again, not to sound like an old man, but back in those days, you had to really work hard to find boobs, So I would look through like the TV guide or the cable guide, whatever, and if I saw anything on HBO that had like adult situations or nudity, I was highlighting that and setting my VCR, because I was like, oh, well, that's free boobs I could see. So, and I don't know. What are you gonna do? I mean, you had the show. I mean, I remember seeing the uncensored Benny Hill for the first time, and that had boobs. Again, I only remember it from like regular TV where it was completely cut up. And I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm seeing. And it's also weird when it's probably a weird period, but when you're especially when you're young and you see like any kind of nudity, but in a comedy context, it's hard to process it, but you still appreciate it anyway. You still appreciate it, but you're like, oh, it's different. Like in a horror movie, you expect it, and it's in a separate context, and you're like, oh, okay, you get what it is. But when it's in a comedy, it's weird. I don't mean like a sex comedy either. I mean like a strange like situation comedy, and then all of a sudden you're seeing boobs. So yeah, Mumbles, that same here. Mumbles used to watch scrambled pay-per-view on the hope that you could make out a boob. Yeah, I would do that with the Playboy channel all the time, like once in a while. There was one time where it came in completely clear, and I remember not wanting to turn off the TV. I think it was I had to go to bed, but I was like, oh man, it's like I don't want to turn this off because I know when I turn it back on, it'll be back to being scrambled. But you used to fight so hard for to see any kind of like nudity or anything. Now it's like, God, I wouldn't want to be a kid now because you have just Jesus Christ. I mean, you just go online. I mean, you could see. I just feel like, there's such a thing to like protecting one's innocence for as long as possible, especially a kid, and it's hard. And I can only speak for myself. When you eventually see certain things that you can't unsee and things aren't the same after, like now it's like, God, kids, shit, they must be exposed to things at such a younger age, which is crazy to think about, and not in a good way. I don't know. Similar reason why The Man Show was a good show back in the day, but doesn't hold up well now. I never liked that. I never got into The Man Show. And again, I'm not steeped in it. I've only seen a couple at the time, but I never got into it. And yeah, Beth said no threshold time. You can find anything online, right? But imagine like your kid finding some crazy perverted thing, and your kid's like 6, 7 years old. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy to think about. I feel like I earned my nudity when I would find it, like whether it was in a magazine or something like that. Like you had to sneak and steal and claw your way to see any kind of boob, and when you did, it was like a reward. You felt like you earned it in a way, and then you had your little moment, and then you had to go back to regular life and hope nobody caught you. And now, the fact that you could just go on a computer or a tablet or anything and just automatically type in boobs and bam, you're there. I don't know. I feel like you're not working for it. I feel like you have to work for it. I don't know. It's like ordering things from Amazon. It's like, back in the day, you used to have to hunt them for things in stores. Now you can just go online and get anything you want. Mandelbro, for the comedy boobs context, the scene in Monty Python's Meaning of Life is for You. The guy gets to choose the method of his own execution, so he's being chased off a cliff by a woman in just bikini bottoms and bike helmets. Yeah, that's interesting. All kids have to do is go to certain parts of Twitch and it's there. I guess that's true too. Like, how sexual do they get on Twitch? I know you can't get too sexual, but I guess you could see friggin' anything, like at least scantily clad. Yeah, I've done that too. Hero said he went dumpster diving for porn mags as a kid. I totally did that. There was a magazine store. There were parents, and they would throw out I guess they still do it. They would have to cut the cover off, I guess, to send back to the publisher to get credit for the unsold magazines, but they would bundle them up in twine and wrap them up in newspaper like once a month, and the trick was finding out what that one that once a day was. and I'd walk home from school. Hopefully it was on a weekday, because I'd walk home from school and I'd just check the dumpster to see if they were there. And once in a rare while, I would hit pay dirt and get a whole bundle of like, it'd be like, what were the magazines? Like, there was like High Society, Hustler. You didn't want Playboy. Playboy was too tame. You wanted the Penthouse. You wanted Hustler, High Society. God, there was so many like weird magazine names that I probably don't even remember. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we really earned our nudity and our boobs back then, and imagine seeing them in person for the first time. That's a whole different story. Yeah, that's right. Bill Burr said you could find 70s, you could find porn in the woods, and I swear to God, I found porn in the woods. There was this it wasn't woods, because I grew up in Brooklyn. We didn't have any woods, but there was this like park across the street from where I grew up, and it was like this like kind of wooded area. It was like a preserved area. And yeah, there was one day where me and my friend walked around and we saw like just pages and pages of porn magazines. Nothing too hardcore, but like boobs and stuff. And I remember that was one of the first times I saw boobs, and it was like literally, quote unquote, in the woods. And it's true. Blue Boy. No, I didn't. I didn't subscribe to Blue Boy. I don't remember getting. I don't remember seeing any like real like hardcore. Porn stuff at that age. At that age, I was just mainly interested in boobs, like just getting away with seeing boobs was fine. But there was something about Playboy that was too almost manufactured in a way. Even as a kid, I kind of thumbed my nose at it. See, a lot of people have this experience. Happy Time Harry says the first time that he saw a nudie magazine was stashed in a tree stump at a friend's house. Yeah, I think a lot of kids like had their little stashes. Like I had an outside stash. Like even when I would see, there was a thing where like even if you went dumpster diving, let's say you got like some porn magazines or boob magazines, whatever. There was a whole thing about how you're gonna get it home, and if you didn't have like a backpack, you know. I would have to stash it, and I had this place on the corner where I lived. There was like a gas station, and I had this great stash behind the gas station. And by the time I came home, like the garage was closed, and I remember I had it in like some like weeds behind the gas station. And I remember going back for it, and it was gone. And I was so annoyed that like somebody randomly found my stash, and I didn't know who it was. And I'm like, man, I was like, whoever found that stash, they better appreciate it, because that was a well curated stash. Because I was too not embarrassed, but too afraid to bring it in the house. I couldn't bring it in the house because I didn't have many hiding spaces. This was in my bedroom, but yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Keeping porn in your computer tower. You take the side cover off and stash it. One time I left the cover off, went out with friends, and my mom found it. Yikes. Oh, that's so bad. Ugh. Wow. Yeah. I got pretty brazen at one point where I kept them in a sneaker box underneath my bed. And I thought that it was really smart. Like I even had the tissue paper over it. But of course, if you felt the box, you felt that they didn't have sneakers in it. There were magazines, but no, no. That lasted a long time. And then I think I actually retired the magazines. I was like, eh. It's funny. I think I had the magazines, and then I got rid of them when I had my first girlfriend. And I was like, oh, I don't need these anymore. I got the real thing. And then, like 2 weeks later, I instantly regretted that decision. I was like, oh my God, where's those magazines? Like, like it was such a rookie mistake. I was like, oh, clearly I have no use for any of this anymore. Now, it's, God, I could see the real thing whenever I want it. And, oh my God, what a mistake that was. Early internet porn took too long to download. Yeah, I guess. But I'll tell you what, this is about the porn industry. The porn industry always innovated things. And it's a funny thing you say about porn taking too long to download. You know, I think high-speed internet came about more to facilitate porn. And even like high definition and stuff, like, you know, even if you go back to VHS, you know, porn, I don't think it does it anymore necessarily. But for a while, porn was driving technology and moving technology forward, you know, with different platforms. You know, porn was very much a driving force into trending technologies, which I think it's lost its. I think it's lost its place in that. I think, but even like streaming, like, you know, like the YouTube type technology where like you could stream video, I think that came about because of porn. You know, really, it was always there at the forefront. You know, so you got to give the industry credit for moving things forward. Like I think they try things that don't work. Like, I don't know if anybody's tried porn VR. I don't know if that's a thing, or I mean, I know it's a thing. I know it exists, but I don't know if I don't know if porn's driving VR more than gaming is. But yeah, okay, Mumbles. I don't know if that's I can't imagine VR porn. All things internet is thanks to porn. Hero says, yeah, it's very true. The very first online payment processes were from porn sites too. Yeah, you got to give them credit. You got to give them credit. Would there be a Netflix without porn? So they get shit on, but they really did pave the way. Speaking of which, we should probably call Perry and see what he watched to go to bed with. No, actually, I'm not going to do that. He left on a good note. I don't want to piss him off. Oh, that's interesting. A great movie called Middlemen is about porn tech pioneers. That's interesting. VR porn is cool, I heard from a friend. Yeah, I never did Oculus either. The only VR I did was, I remember buying like one of my Samsung like Notes like years ago, like, God, maybe even 10 years ago. Nah, maybe not quite 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. And like one of the bundles, it came with like this VR headset where you can like plug your smartphone into it, specifically the Samsung. It was a Samsung VR headset, and it had some apps that you could use and you can watch movies. And I remember trying it out and just not really digging it. And that was my only experience with VR. There should be a full porn service called Netflix. See, porn would make no money on that, like, because people would watch something for like 5 minutes. Like, I don't even know how. I guess people still pay for like porn sites and things like that. I just don't know how. Boy, this is a very adult themed After Hours, isn't it? We don't normally get this adult themed. The bottom line, though, is if you're under a certain age, you'll have no idea how hard it was to fight for to see boobs. I can't even imagine what people older than me did. Like, before, there was like, what did you do? Like, did you look at like? I remember like listening to Stern, and he said he would look at like Sears catalogs, like, you know, like the bra and panties selection of like a J.C. Penney catalog or something. You know, you really had to fight. You really had to fight for it. I used to do a thing. I might have said this before, but my dad was big into the New York Times on Sunday, particularly for the crossword puzzle, and I would always volunteer to walk up to the newspaper store to get the New York Times for him. He'd give me the money, but I would really go in there and I would just steal porno magazines and occasionally a VHS, which was hard because as you well know, the porn boxes for the VHS were these giant things. They were probably designed as giant things so you didn't steal them. So you'd have to sneak the VHS out of it. But I loved the New York Times because it was this big paper, and I, you know, as a kid going in there, you know, the shop owner wouldn't look at you sideways, and I'd look at some comics and stuff. but I'd really be going for the Penthouse, for the Hustlers, and I'd put them in the New York Times and fold it over. And the New York Times on Sunday is so big, you would never notice that you'd have like 3 or 4 magazines tucked in there. And so I'd plop them. I wouldn't even plop it on the counter. I would show I'd pay for the Times, and I'd have the magazines. And then before I would come in the side door of my house, and my dad would be in the living room. Before I got into the living room, I'd go run downstairs real quick and take the magazines out. And I remember one time, I forget, I must have had 3 magazines, let's say, at any given time. I realized that I had left one of the magazines in the New York Times, and I'd already given it to my dad. And I started panicking, and I was like, "Oh my God! Like, how do I get this? How do I get the New York Times out of his hands to get the magazine out?" And I remember running upstairs and saying, "Oh, Dad, I need to see the New York Times real quick," which is words that have never come out of my mouth ever. And he's like, I need to look at the movie times. I need to look at movie times. And I literally took the entire Times and ran into the kitchen, which it would seem suspicious, but then how could he process, like, wait, why would he, what's there suspicious about the New York Times? And I was like, and then I found it, and I literally took it out. Thankfully, my mom wasn't in the kitchen. I literally took it out, and I threw the magazine into the cabinet, like where our plates were, and it was like in there. And then I casually came back into the living room, and I had the arts and entertainment section out. I was like, "Oh yeah, I really was interested in this full-page ad for, whatever movie was coming out. I'm sorry, I wanted to see this. Can we go see this movie?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know, maybe. Can I have my paper back?" I was like, yeah, here it is. Sorry, I got a little carried away there. And then I had to run back in the kitchen and go into the and then by then it was like a sitcom. And my mom had come downstairs, and I was like, "Oh my God, what are you doing here?" Like, she would usually stay upstairs on a Sunday. Like, she wouldn't be up that early. My mom's not an early riser, and I'd be like, "Do you want me to make you breakfast or something?" And she's like, "No, I'll make my own breakfast." And I'm like, "Oh my God, please don't go into the plates. Please, for the love of God, don't go into that cabinet there." And then she must have turned around and like gone in the other direction, and I quickly opened it, and I had to grab a plate out just to make it look good. And I grabbed the plate and I ran downstairs. Crisis was averted, but I had some close calls. But that was my move. Was my major move at a certain point where I realized I didn't push my luck with it though, and I did feel bad about shoplifting those magazines because the shop owner was this really nice guy. And like, he looked for, like, he, I was like, "Oh, that's cute. You're buying the New York Times for your dad. What a good son." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Sorry." I feel like I should have given him like $1,000 at one point for all the magazines I stole from his business. But hey, we all do things in our past that we things you had to do, the things you had to work for to get a pair of boobs looking at you. So that was so anyway, yeah, these kids today, they don't know what it was like. They don't know what, the internet. It's like, and that's the other thing too. Like, I don't even know. Like, I can't remember the last time I was at any kind of newsstand or anything like that. Do they still? I know they don't really print Playboy anymore, except for special editions. Like, do they? They don't. I mean, is are nudie magazines still a thing? Like, do they still make them? Do they still print them? I can't imagine. Lucky blokes in England used to, or still have topless ladies in the newspaper. Yeah, that's right. I remember verifying that for myself the first time I went to London, and I was like, "Let me see here." Wasn't there like the page 3 girl, or the page 6 or whatever, and they'd be like, "Yeah, a topless thing." How many do I think I stole? I mean, like, we're talking about just about every Sunday, and let's do an average of 3. It would never be 2. It would always be 3. Sometimes I got really ballsy and did 4. I guess it couldn't have been every Sunday because these magazines were monthly. Nah, but I did do it. I'm trying to do this math in my head. Let's say 3 days out of the week. Times 12, that's 36 magazines a year, and let's say I did it for 3 years. So definitely over 100. Easy 100. And then a couple of, as I said, a couple of video. Sometimes I'd sacrifice 3 magazines for one videotape. So I would do a videotape and put that in the times, which was hard. But yeah, so definitely, I'd say definitely over 100. You know, whatever that adds up to. And the place is long gone. Long gone. That's yeah. Heroes says, I always wonder about porn mags at airports. Who the hell would buy porn at a busy airport bookstore? And then what? You're gonna read it on the plane? Yeah. I mean, I was a kid. I'd go to the barber shop, and there would be guys browsing through Penthouse at the barber, like being in the barber chair. I know that's an old school thing, like being in a barber chair. I guess Playboy's one thing, but like Penthouse, like guys cutting your hair, and you're like casually flipping through Penthouse. Yeah, I don't get it. It'd be the ultimate creepy thing, especially with kids around. Because I'd be a kid getting my hair cut, and the guy next to me is reading Penthouse, and I'd be looking at him like, "Oh my god!" Like it was weird to me then. But yeah, shit. Yeah, and then now it's like it's so not a big deal to see nudity or anything. Like you're so desensitized to it. Although they don't really do nudity in movies the way they used to. There's not too many like hard R comedies that do full on nudity the way they used to be in like the 80s or 90s. More the 80s and early 90s really. I think that stopped. Although there must be some subgenre of like, you know, direct to home video films that still do it. Pitching it down with the barber apron. I know. I mean, I guess it stopped at some point. But, yeah. It definitely stopped before I was of age to... but I don't think I'd ever be comfortable with that. Like, to me, that was always like a dirty thing that you should be partially ashamed of. And I always like looked at adults that did it like, wow, I guess there's a part where you become an adult and you're no longer ashamed of getting like I remember working at a video store when I was a teenager, and we had an adult section, and there would be guys that I knew, like friends' dads, that would come in and rent like freaking pornos. I mean, can you imagine this? Like now you at least have the anonymity of internet and you're on your own. Like Perry can sit in his apartment and type up anything he wants, whatever your fetish is, whatever your thing is, and it's boom in front of you. Could you imagine having to go to a video store? Forget about we're completely bypassing theaters, but like going to a video store, picking out the title you want, whatever crazy thing you're into, like, you know, pregnant whores or whatever. And you got to check out with some person at the checkout counter and there's no way they're not seeing the title and what you're into. And then you got to like, it's just crazy to me. I can never do that. Never. In a million years. That's why stealing was always the better option, because you didn't have to have the shame of purchasing it and having the other person, even for a split second, looking at what you were buying or renting. But yeah, I like, when was the last actress? Like, because that was always a big deal too. Like, oh, this actress is in this movie and she shows her boobs. Like, when was the last actress that was a big deal that was like nude in a movie? Sluts with Nuts 85. Yeah, it seems like a completely bygone era. Yeah, it had the adult section always had the roped off section, or like those doors, like those shitty like like saloon type doors that you have to push past that were spring loaded. Like the second you went in, they slapped back in place so nobody could see what went on in there. Or the beads, or the long beads, like you were going to get your palm read. Gary says the first porno I ever saw was in the 7th grade. It was called No Holds Bar. The second one I saw was Mr. Millionaire. I never heard of either one, of course. This huge black guy comes in the room, like in an office, and his opening line was, "I would like a job that includes blowing." That's perfect. Yeah. It was always the same people, especially in that era of porn I would watch. So it would be like, I guess, early '90s to mid '90s, where it'd be like the same people in all of them. Even Ron Jeremy, yeah. You'd start to know their names, which was weird. Man, I'm sorry. This is definitely an 18 and over After Hours. I think we chased away any remote female After Hours viewers have completely bailed. Yeah, maybe it's Halle Berry and Swordfish, because I remember that being a big deal at the time that she was nude in that, but I don't remember any big names after that, because even before that there were like, oh, so and so's nude in this, so and so's nude in that, or so and so's nude in that, but it's really a double, whatever, blah blah blah. I don't remember a big name actress, because they don't need to be. They don't need to be, especially now. Forget about it. Those days are over. Getting an A-list actress to be like, oh, so and so's topless, or it's for the art, or it's for the part, whatever. It's done. I don't see it. Shannon Elizabeth in American Pie is before. I don't remember that. I remember seeing American Pie when it came out, but I don't remember the specific. I remember there was nudity in it, but I don't remember. That might have been the last movie that was kind of like, and that was almost a parody on other, like, skin comedies, in a way. But yeah, they don't. Like if comedy's rated R now, it's for like language and like, or like other things. Like it's definitely not for nudity. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. What's her name from Game of Thrones? I don't remember her name either. I guess. Yeah, you're probably right with that. Game of Thrones definitely. Early Game of Thrones, not. But then there came a point in Game of Thrones where like the nudity was over. It's like, oh yeah, we're not doing that anymore, because now. I don't know. There was a certain point in the show where they completely stopped doing the nudity. But yeah, that's a good call. I forgot about that. Elizabeth Berkley and Shogun. Yeah, that's like '96 though. That's a long time ago. That was a big deal though. I remember when that was another one of those big deals. Like, oh, you have to see, and I think that was part of the marketing of these movies, even though they would never admit it. Was like, oh, you'll see so and so's boobs in this, but you have to go see this movie. Alyssa Milano in her '90s skin. Yeah, I was never into Alyssa Milano, so I never saw any of those movies. And remember that there was that guy. What was that website? They used to have him on Stern all the time. Oh, Mr. Skin. Like, does that still exist? Like the Mr. Skin website, is that still a thing? And I can't imagine that anybody ever actually paid for that or signed up for it. And Mr. Skin, for those who don't know, was this guy who basically built a website out of clips from movies that showed nudity. So if you want to see Phoebe Cates in Fast Times, which is probably, I mean, maybe the most famous mainstream movie with with nudity. I mean, it's definitely on the it's definitely on the Mount Rushmore. So you get clips of those, and you go on. But I just can't imagine that being a thing now. Because what modern movies are you putting on there? I'm like, I don't know. And then again, I guess at this point, you get to a certain age, you stop caring. Oh, is it still around? Fuck it, let's call Perry. I'm tempted to call Perry, but I literally just got him back like the other day where he doesn't hate my guts. So, not that he hated my guts, but he was not. I was not on his favorite persons list. I don't want to. We got to stream on Sunday. I don't want to mess him up, but fuck it, let's call him. What's the best he could do is not answer, right? You know what? He's woken me up quite a few times. So, whatever. I don't feel like there's any way out of this conversation. Celebrity deepfakes killed Mr. Skin. I believe that. The deepfakes look really good, by the way. Not that I would know firsthand. This is going to be bad if he answers.
Please leave your message for...
All right. Well, I may or may not get a call back. I did try it, though. Oh, Mr. Skin's still around. He's been a guest on Corolla. Okay. You see, the deepfakes, they're fake, but the technology looks good enough. I'll give him a... Ooh. This is not going to be good. Hey, what's up?
Why are you waking me up at this hour?
Oh, I didn't know you. I thought you said you were watching a movie.
That was then. This is now.
What did you end up watching?
Don't worry about it.
No, I'm just curious, Perry. We're
That
talking.
is the porno shit, okay?
What porno? I was just thinking about porno. I was just curious.
Fucking Pornhub.
Right, but what on Pornhub?
Oh, Christ. Nina L.
Who's that?
Take a piss. Oh, just some old friend of mine.
Do you like watching old friend porn, or do you like watching like people you don't actually know?
Some girls that I don't know I sometimes turn on, but most of the girls I do know.
What kind of stuff are you going for? Like just standard guy on girl or girl?
Guy on girl. Guy on girl.
What's the most like kinky, like fetishy thing you'll watch?
Why are you interested in this crazy shit?
Because I just got it's on my brain. I'm just curious.
What? Girls, just the normal sex and blowjobs and, why are you asking me such a private?
It's not that private. Here's a legitimate question, and then I'll let you go. Okay, because I was thinking about this. Like, when you were younger, do you remember, like, what was the first time that you had access to see a naked woman in any form? And did you have... Like, how old were you when... I guess, were you a teenager when porno was a thing? I guess you were, right? In the 70s?
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time that you saw boobs?
Yeah, I was like 10 years old.
How did you see them? Was it in a movie? Was it like how did you access it?
Other than what it was actually a friend. I accidentally went and opened the bathroom door where she was coming out of the bathtub.
Oh, so you saw boobs, like unexpected, accidental boobs.
Yeah.
What was your reaction?
I was shocked.
What was her reaction?
Shocked and a bit embarrassed. So.
What was her reaction?
Shocked and embarrassed, both of us.
Okay. Other than that, though, what was like the first time you saw like actual porn?
Actual porn?
Yeah, like the first time you saw actually. Like, did you ever go to a porn theater?
Well, there were several porn theaters here in the valley that I knew of. Actually, when I lived in Canoga Park, there was a theater right around the corner from my house, my apartment in Canoga Park.
So were you?
That is now a children's theater.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a kids theater. They turned it from a porn theater to a kids theater.
So
it's a Mexican's kids theater.
So how often were you at the adult theater when it was a porn theater?
Never.
Never. So did you ever go to any?
I went in once, and that was it.
What happened the one time? Like, what did you see?
I went in once. I didn't even stay for the whole damn thing. God, it was.
No, once you do your thing, you're kind of over it.
No, I walked in. I didn't jerk off in the theater. I was just.
Oh, really? I thought that was what most people did. Now, I never been to one. That was before my time.
No, I went in. I sat down, and I didn't pay attention to other people, but it was actually an empty theater when I went to.
There was nobody else in the theater?
No, there was a few people, but I mean, yeah, this was back before I lived over there too.
Who did you sit next to? Do you remember?
I didn't sit next to anybody. I mean, I had my area was by myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was by myself. So.
Was it stadium seating or was it just like regular theater seating back then?
Theater seating. The stadium stuff wasn't built yet.
Right.
It's not like It's not like the Promenade Theater is today.
So when you were a teenager though, like how did you go about like seeing boobs? Like what did you have to do? Did you buy magazines?
When I was a teenager, how did I see boobs when I was in Palm Springs, for example? Normally, I had a couple of girlfriends that had real big knockers when I was in junior high school.
Right. I'm not talking in person boobs. I'm talking about when you're really young, before you're even ready for that yet. How did you go about seeing like a naked woman?
Playboy magazine.
And how did you get that though? You're probably too young to buy it. Like how did you actually get it?
Well, it was my parents were members of the Playboy Club in downtown Chicago.
Really?
Yeah. And that was when I was just a baby actually. Actually, you want to know the God's honest truth? I remember I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I remember going with my parents to the Playboy Club for a big for like a big party. And I saw all these beautiful Playboy models and stuff.
Jesus, that's awesome.
God, 1967 or 68. I mean, it was a family thing.
So you were 4 years old at the Playboy Club?
Yeah, about 4 or 5.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's some parenting.
Well, I mean, it was a family get together. So I mean, families were able to bring their children in.
A family get together at the Playboy Club?
Yeah, it was a family event. So I mean,
what kind of family event was held at the Playboy Club?
Hef was a nice guy all the way up to the day he died. Yeah, he was a real nice guy. God, what? There were times back in Chicago at the original building that he would have family events. So I mean, it wasn't all nude bodies, all nude women and stuff all the time.
Wow.
There were times he would have family get-togethers and things.
So, were your parents like into some kinky stuff? Like, were they swingers or anything?
No.
They were just.
My dad was a contractor, and he did construction and stuff in Chicago, and I think he worked on Hef's home or half office building or something.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So when did you like what I'm trying to ask, I guess, is notwithstanding the Playboy Club, but how did you go about getting to see naked women before you could actually see them in person?
Magazines, I guess.
And you would buy them, or
Either my brother would have them, or my other brother would have them, or
so you would borrow them from your brothers?
I wouldn't borrow them. I'd steal them, please.
Like Brian or Kenny?
Both. Well, Kenny got married when I was like 6 years old, so probably Brian.
I forget, they're way older than you.
Yeah.
Does I'm sorry. A hero wants to know.
And my friend Johnny, and my friend Johnny's dad was a part of the Playboy Club as well.
John D.
Yeah. Yeah, his dad was a member of the Playboy Club as well.
Do you still have the membership key for the Playboy Club that either from your mother or father?
No.
Ooh,
God, no.
That would be so cool to have.
That would be incredible to still have. Exactly.
Damn.
Please.
They should bring those clubs back.
You know what? Yeah, exactly. I mean, even though Heffa's dead, I mean, Christy or Christy's kids should, bring all that shit back.
We should do like a special stream, like Perry After Dark, like instead of After Hours, like maybe where you kind of talk about your experiences with this type of stuff, because you got a lot of stories.
My stories are from Orange County with the strip club, the Mustang over there in Orange County. And the Mustang is actually, where the Mustang was, is kind of across the street from where that fucking Lowlife's club is today that I went to. I got thrown out of because I was holding my cell phone.
Oh, Cafe Lou. We still got to call them.
Cafe Lou, yeah, Cafe Lou.
You think they're open now? Should we call them now?
Oh, fuck no. I don't want any. Why are you fucking trying to keep me on the phone?
I
want to get off the phone, you prick.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were. I didn't mean to wake you up.
Yeah,
Okay.
I want to go back to sleep. You fucking waking me up, and you want to have a fucking all-night conversation. You're one of those New Yorkers. It's a New Yorker, a 24-hour freak. You don't like to sleep, do you?
No, I do like to sleep.
Night.
All right.
You like to sleep during the day. I like to sleep at night.
No,
all right?
no.
Take care. Bye.
All right. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye. Well, I gotta say, I was hesitant at first, but Hero was on the money. That was probably worth calling. See, just for the revelation that his parents were members of the Playboy Club. That's a great. I mean, I don't know if he's ever. Sometimes I'm bad with that. Like, I don't know if he's ever revealed certain things before, but that was a good revelation. That's a good note to end on. Yeah. Oh fuck. He was. I could have spent another 2 hours talking to him. I really could have. Because there was a period of time before he realized that he was on the phone at 2:00 in the morning, whatever time it is there. 2:30 in the morning. He's like, why are you keeping me on the phone? Like before it was a battle to avoid that realization for him, but he was very chatty and talking about that. I wish that would have gone a little longer. And we should do a Perry After Dark at one point where he just completely talks about that kind of stuff. And then, by the way, I don't believe for a second that he only went to a porno theater once. But he sounded pretty cohesive for somebody who was allegedly just woken up. Back now, let me turn my ringer off so he doesn't give me payback. But that was pretty good, right? I'm not gonna top that, so we should call it a night. There's so much to tear apart there. Like even like them watching watching his old friends in movies, allegedly. Sleepy Perry has his guard down. Yeah, that's a good way to call it. Absolutely, you could totally. We should call him more often on After Hours. I'm usually hesitant to do that, but if they all go like that, yeah, you get a very cognitive, razor sharp Perry at some points, and that was good. That was good. It's a very different adult themed After Hours with padded with Perry. He started After Hours and he ended it. So, oh man, can you imagine? Some of the garbage gamers is I can't imagine going to a porno theater and jerking at and surrounded by other dudes. But I guess that's what you had to do. Like when porno came, like think about when porno first came out and it was a thing called porno. Like let's say it's the 70s. There's no home video or anything. You have to leave your home and go into a theater to see projected like hardcore porn and then do your business. Oh God, I can't imagine. It seems like such a different era. Perry with post-nut clarity. That's a great way to put it. Oh. All right, I'm gonna call it there. I think that's a good way to go out, right? This is it's true, Mumble. It's also a new season of After Hours with new season topics. That's true. Yeah, we'll try to come up with with different things for After Hours. But hey, welcome back to PCL, everybody. Welcome back to After Hours. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for remembering us. Thanks for showing up. We had some really good numbers tonight, which was great. Especially late. Like we were like well over 600 people, like deep into the night, which is not often the case. So that was good. But especially thank you to the After Hours members, and I'll get around to that Kia giveaway one of these nights. It's not going to be tonight, unfortunately. Oh, Cha-Cha still hung in there. Wow, I was wondering where all the females went. they just went quiet while we perved out. Yeah, we'll see on Sunday. Perry's gonna call Japan on Sunday. First call is gonna be to Japan. It's gonna be interesting. I think it's an American though. Don't get too excited. But anyway, I'll talk to you later. Oh, you're welcome, Spencer. I'm surprised that you're still hanging out because, yeah, Spencer's the guy who bought me the donuts, and me and my girlfriend. I didn't say it. Me and my girlfriend donuts. Okay, what did I get again? They didn't have a lot of selection there. I got a regular glazed, and I think I got a chocolate iced. And they were both good. They taste like Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme has that very distinctive taste to them. But it was good. It was my first one in really a long time, so it was nice. It was super cool. So thanks for coming out. Thanks for hanging in there. I have tons of respect for any East Coaster that's still up at almost 6 a.m. And I gotta probably be up in a couple hours to take care of the little guy. So I'm gonna be regretting this very shortly. But we'll talk to you later. We'll talk to you on Sunday. We'll see you on Sunday at noon Pacific time. Thanks, Slug. Glad to have you back. Glad to have everybody back. Back in the PCL groove. I was afraid things would be a little rusty tonight. Like I was even getting ready for the stream, getting ready to launch. I was forgetting, like, oh wait, how do I do this? How do I? Yeah, it all came back. Anyway, we'll see you on Sunday. Thanks again. Good night.